PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of We Have the Power is brought to you by Classy Communications, PR, and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and non-profit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Well, you might notice the backdrop looks a little different today on We Have the Power. I moved my home office because of the high temperature. Didn't want to run up a huge bill for air conditioning, so we're just going to get through it. But at least you can see right here, We Have the Power. There it is right there over my shoulder. And what we're going to talk about today, I'm your host, Brian Gardner. Every Thursday at 5 p.m., I host We Have the Power. And really, the backdrop, will get sorted out. The important part of today is I'm going to be talking about, if I was governor, what would I do? And today we're talking about what we should be doing with our students. Okay? And it's coming from my book, Plan for America and the World. You can always get a free copy of that book by letting me know that you want one emailed or you want one to be mailed to you, a hard copy. Now, I believe in transparency, getting over a little cold. So I'm going to have that in my mouth so I can talk to you without coughing. The good old lemon honey drops. Because the show must go on. So let's talk about our students from this viewpoint. Since I believe that young people are our finest natural resource, and they represent the future of America and this world, I believe we should invest in them. By investing in young people, we assist our future to be a bright one, a future full of hope and promise, and opportunities to improve humanity and advance as needed, which we do need, our technology. Well, guess what? I do not believe that we are doing enough. And as well as we could be, we have allowed psychiatry, and through them, the pharmaceutical companies, to gain too much of a foothold, some say a stranglehold, within our schools. So my first action, if I was governor, would be to ban psychiatry from the public school system. Now, let's clarify that. Does that mean that I expect people to go cold turkey off of psychiatric medication? Never, ever do you want to do that. If you are listening to this program or other programs that talk about the dangers of psychiatric drugs, you must be weaned properly off of these medications, which are actually drugs, by a qualified non-psychiatric nutritionist. I know a friend who's tried to get off of these drugs for years. Every single day was a challenge, horrible side effects, aches and pains and ups and downs, and just a horrible mess. That's not because she has mental problems. That's the side effects of the dangerous psychiatric medication. But we still would ban psychiatry from the schools. Get them out of the schools. ADHD and all of that has never been proven. And all the psychiatrists can do, since they do not know what causes mental illness or how to fix it, they turn people into zombies. Oh, look at Dave. He used to act up in school so much. Now look at him. Hi, my name's Dave. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, okay. All you've done is make it so he can't function any longer. No wonder he can't act up in school. The drugs are just completely suppressing him. We want to stop that in our schools. So we make sure we have nutritionists in every school, because many times nutritional deficits, where someone's low in a particular nutrition or vitamin, can cause people to have depression and all kinds of acting out attitudes. So we get a nutritionist who's non-psychiatric in nature. Just going to straighten this up a little bit so you who are watching don't feel too dizzy. That's good enough for now. Next week, it'll be better, of course. But we get a nutritionist in the schools who can monitor each student and find out if they're low in any particular vitamin or nutrition and get that fixed as a first step. You know, the psychiatrists come in, he's acting out drugs. They never check the nutrition of the student. That's horrible. We require that every student coming to school has 7 to 8 hours of sleep before class. They should be well rested and well fed unless the student is part of a school breakfast program. Now, the school breakfast program is something I'd like to see eliminated. Parents are the one who are responsible for having energy in the student when they come to school in the form of protein and a protein-based breakfast. It is not the taxpayers that should fund having food available for the students because the parents are not doing their job. If we continue to offer school breakfast, we allow the parents of the child to continue to be lax in their responsibility for the child. It is the parents' responsibility to make sure they're well fed. You cannot study properly on an empty stomach. Try driving your car when the needle goes to empty. You're not going anywhere. No energy in the car. Now, while I don't agree with a strict dress code or uniforms in schools, common decency, a rational outlook, proper managing of this issue, appropriate dress should be the norm. By that, I mean not the sloppy side at one end of the spectrum and not formal dress uniforms on the other end. But I've seen high school students, females, wearing pants that were far too short, and they are not there to distract the hormones in the male population in class. They're all there to study, not to be distracted. Proper dress and clothing for the classroom would not be overly distracting kinds of clothing. It would be clothing that is proper so that everyone's got their attention on studying like they should be. Of course, the heart of the matter is classroom studying and learning. And here the technology of study found in applied scholastics needs to be implemented nationwide, statewide, and worldwide, which it is in several areas. This is the best way to help students study. It is the way to full understanding and use of the materials they're studying. If you are not studying for use of what you're studying, what is the point? To be able to spit back on a test, Columbus, 1492, 1776, with no understanding of what those years or those issues mean. The emphasis needs to be on the use of materials they are studying, not on tests, although tests can see how they're doing. Applied scholastics all over the world is a non-religious, secular educational system where they use check sheets. And here's the brilliance of applied scholastics. If everyone is on a check sheet, the teacher goes around and says, Johnny, what is your target for today? How much are you going to get done on your check sheet? It doesn't mean that Johnny has to feel bad because Bill next to him got things done faster. Each student would work at their own pace based on their abilities. Now, if they set a target and don't reach it, the teacher could say, why didn't you reach your target? Let's get some other stuff sorted out so you can reach your targets. The idea that you're saying all students must meet the same target just makes people feel inferior and bad, and they give up on study, and that's not what you want. The teacher would set a target, check with them halfway through, how you doing on your target. Makes it easier for the teacher to manage a larger classroom because the students are working, And I would say go to http://www.appliedscholastics.org. Check out their materials. It's a fantastic, and it's used the world over very successfully. Now, there are barriers to study that Applied Scholastics in their technology of study has illustrated. And when a student reads past several misunderstood words in geography or whatever they're studying, they feel dumb, and they hate the subject because I can't figure out the words. And it's a very subtle thing, but you start seeing the kind of behavior that normally psychiatrists would come in and administer drugs for. Well, Applied Scholastics has shown if a student's having difficulty and you sit them down and you go through the words of their material, say geography, and find out if they understand the basic words in what they're studying, suddenly the bad behavior goes away. They start enjoying geography. You might even look to yourself. Maybe there's something you were really interested in and then gave up. Oh, this is boring. I don't like it. There might be misunderstood words that you encountered in that thing that you were interested in beginning with and then gave up on. Applied Scholastic is very key, and I would implement that in the school system immediately. Now, by creating a whole new generation of students that can analyze, think, debate, ponder, and question, we will be arming our students and a whole new generation with the abilities needed to come up with the advanced technology, environmental, and governmental solutions to the problems we're facing. We will be establishing a whole new generation of young people that cannot be fooled by the propaganda coming out of most major TV news services. This is content one-sided and is covertly controlled by what I call the power elite, the same people that want to have everybody be dumb so they're easy to control. That's why they've destroyed the public school system. Thank you, President Trump, for canceling the National Education Department. It was nothing more than a way to dumb down our populations. Let's go into some other requirements that would be needed to graduate. Other requirements for graduation should be that students must be taught so they are able to show their grasp and proficiency in the following areas. These would be required curriculum before graduation. And this is not some light list. This is pretty intense. Unarmed physical self-defense skills. If I was younger and I had a daughter who's going to college, guess what, Sally? I'm not paying for it unless you enroll yourself in a self-defense course. I don't mean beat up every guy you don't like. Self-defense. You get through that self-defense course and you graduate, I'll pay for your college. I am not going to send my daughter to college and have some goofball try to mess with her and she has no way to defend herself. So unarmed physical self-defense skills. They have to know that before they graduate. Basic nutrition knowledge, so they know to stop eating junk food and all these sodas that have high fructose corn syrup, which causes obesity. Cut that out. There's other drinks you can drink that are refreshing that don't have high fructose corn syrup in them, like all the major sodas do. And then they say this is sugar-free and they put something even more dangerous in it. Basic healthy cooking skills. Maybe they're going to be on their own. Maybe they're not going to be in a relationship for a while. What are they going to do? Go to McDonald's every night? No. That is going to make an unhealthy race of Americans. Basic survival skills. Should it ever occur that our infrastructure is compromised by either enemies or natural disasters? Can you imagine if, first of all, if there was ethics in place in Venezuela and they didn't build shoddy buildings, most of them wouldn't fall down. Number two, can you imagine if everybody who graduated from school knew disaster preparedness, a lot more people might have survived that. It's a horrible tragedy. Disaster preparedness training in the community emergency response teams called CERT, put on by FEMA. And these would be a 6-day training course so you know everything about disaster preparedness training. Basic sewing skills. What are you going to do? Pay for have someone to fix every darn thing wrong with your shirt you can't sew a button on? Paper map reading, so that if the grid is down, students would still be able to locate themselves and use a paper map. Now, I'm guilty of this myself. I go to a performance. I'm a musician. Boy, man, I'm glad I have my cell phone charged up. Tells me how to get there. Well, we also need to be able to read maps to get around, especially if someone tries to take over this country. They knock down the grid and, we have maps and we still got street signs. Well, we want to be self-sufficient. Basic ongoing lifetime exercise knowledge so that Americans are fit and in good health. Basic food ingredient and additives knowledge so that they are not fooled into eating these horrible foods that have a long shelf life, because the companies, if they don't sell, they want them to sit on the shelf and not rot. Well, that's not good for us. Okay. So they would need to know that. So when they go shopping, they look at the ingredient label. They go, oh, I'm not buying that one. That's got zibbity got bagoobity dee in it. We don't want to eat that. Basics of ethics. Basics of data evaluation, so our students can evaluate data so as not to be fooled. Ethics is a personal thing. You cannot order someone to be ethical. But if you talk about ethics and the ramifications of being unethical, bright students will say, hey, it's just better to be ethical. Understanding of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, because that is the foundation of our country. Knowledge of how to operate, clean, and use handguns, rifles, and shotguns. Now people just freaked out. They said, oh my God, kids will be shooting each other. They already carry guns to school. But all, of course, under strictly enforced safety supervision by highly qualified instructors at a safe location, not the public school. But during regular school hours, I want every student to know how to work a handgun and a shotgun and a rifle in case it ever comes where they need to utilize that. Defensive and responsibility driver training, meaning they would be taught how to avoid accidents by being a defensive driver. Let me tell you something. Every time I go shopping, where am I looking? I'm looking forward, of course. I'm looking in my rearview mirror a lot. I'm looking to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left. And I have avoided accidents by seeing that some goofball is moving over on me without even looking in his mirrors. Somebody is running a red light. I did not enter the intersection when I could have. Defensive driving, especially in a place like Las Vegas, is the only way, really, to avoid accidents. You watch the other people. I've had people coming up fast behind me, watching in my rearview mirror, made sure on the freeway that I slow down, and they go around me, of course, because they want to go 90 miles an hour. Fine, get away from me. They would be taught that driving is a privilege, not a right. You do not have a right to drive on the city streets at all, period. Okay, it is a privilege. And if you mess up, drive crazy, your license is going to be taken away and you'll be on the bus. Thank you very much. We're all safer because of that. Basics of communication. You should see the number of musicians that I contacted who said, get back to me so we can talk. Never hear from them. They do not call when there's a gig. Just a bad communication. And my son has had the same problem with some of the people that he has met in business, but also people he's been dating. Just horrible communication. Basics of money, finances, and budgeting, so that people don't overspend and they suddenly depend on the government to pay something for them when they should have been monitoring their money better. I'm not perfect at that. I have to work at it, but it leads into my next point, personal responsibility. Everyone is responsible for the condition they are in. It's not the weather. It's not the government. It's not space aliens. It's you are responsible for the condition you are in. And when you accept that, you suddenly get all your power back. Karma should be taught as a fact, not a religious concept in schools. You rip somebody off, you are defeating yourself, because people, I believe, are basically good. You do something wrong, you know it's wrong, no one catches you and does anything to you, you're going to start pulling the house in on yourself, so you limit yourself from hurting somebody next time. It's all totally avoidable if you just become ethical. Introduction to the concept of reincarnation, which every student would make up their own mind about. But let me share something with you. If people realized that karma, which it is a fact, I believe, in counseling, I'm not going to tell you specifics, but I have seen my own past lives. Reincarnation is real, let me tell you right now. If people across the boards understood that they are coming right back here as soon as their body dies, they're going to be born into a baby body and they're coming right back. Not as a leaf, not as a dog, you're coming back as a human. Wouldn't people tend to take more care of this world while they're here, knowing they're coming right back? And why would they want to come back to a radioactive, polluted mess? It would raise people's responsibility. Hey, I'm going to do everything I can this lifetime to help make this a good world, because I'm coming right back. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world to live in, with everybody taking responsibility now for the future? That's why reincarnation should be introduced to every student. Then they make up their own mind. So we would require that graduating students can demonstrate their proficiency in speaking. No, in these areas and perhaps other areas, along with the 3 R's, of course: reading, writing, arithmetic, so that we turn out a generation with the skills to be competent stewards of the country they will inherit as they grow into adults. Do you know that evil people tried to get blacks to accept Ebonics? Yeah, they said, well, blacks don't need to speak properly because Ebonics was the way that they spoke, and all these slang words, and you can't even understand them. And they go for a job interview talking Ebonics, and they don't get hired, and they think it's racism. No, it's because some evil person did not want black people moving up the economic ladder, moving into their neighborhood, because they're racist. So they said, oh, let's really mess them up. Let's have them speak Ebonics. Nobody will hire them. They'll be on welfare for their whole life. We'll control where they live. Crappy life. That's what's been going on. No. You need to speak proper English. You need to know how to dress, how to take care of your teeth, how to take care of yourself. You're responsible if you don't get that job because you stink, because you wore crappy clothes, because you can't speak, you can't make a sentence with a capital letter in the beginning and a period at the end, and you can't write. That's another thing. People think, oh, I don't need to know how to write. I don't write anymore. I use my tablet and all that. Well, if I was an employer, knowing that people are avoiding writing, I would say, hey, you forgot your cell phone. The computers are down, but someone came in, very important business associate, and said, hey, can you take a message for me? Because I know your computers are down or whatever, but I need to get a message to the boss. Could you take this message for me? And I would have them write a message before I hire them. And I'd see how their penmanship was. And if they can't write a note that when they hand it to me, I can't read it, that's not a good thing. So in school, students would have to pass the ability to be able to write on a piece of paper a note. The teacher would say, okay, I want you to write this note. And everybody, the teacher would look at every one of the notes, those who you couldn't understand, no capital letter at the beginning, no period at the end, all kinds of pronunciation and no commas and all this stuff. they would then, the next time they're in class, they would go through and learn how to write properly, and commas where they go, and periods, and all of that. Because someday they might need to have to write a note, and I want Americans in really good shape. I would personally like to see all of this in place and have the word go out to the world. Do not mess with Americans. They are healthy, they are smart, they know self-defense, and are proficient with firearms. And if you try to bring them down by destroying their infrastructure, that won't stop them, as they know survival skills. And well, you just can't win against an American. When individuals become more powerful and all they can be, the members of the power elite, the insane, psychotic, evil mentioned, intent. Let me give you that again. This is important. Insane, psychotic, evil intentioned individuals that they are, they become afraid of such abilities in people and those who support a generation of these kinds of individuals. This is just about the right amount of real knowledge, skill, and responsibility which is required to keep our form of government intact and vibrant. Such well-rounded individuals made this country the symbol of freedom and liberty it has stood for 250 years. This type of individual will preserve this for generations to come. Only by investing in our students, ensuring that they can demonstrate skills in a variety of the aforementioned areas and can show how to use what they have learned, do we start to ensure that our future and the future of this country and this world will continue to be a positive and bright one. With a bunch of drug addict, pot smoking, pornographic, game playing. I only talk on my cell phone. I don't even know how to talk to a person anymore. I can't write a note. I don't know anything about if there's an earthquake, what to do. I'll just go pump my gas. When the gas pumps are electric, they are going to be shut down for 3 days if there's a major earthquake. These kinds of people are easy to take over. I don't want to live in that kind of world. I don't want to come back to that kind of world. That is why these things, if I was governor, would be implemented. Let the people scream. Let the people say that's too hard. Let the kids say, oh, I could never do that. Yes, they can. There are a group of men who were riding on a particular boat heading toward Normandy, with machine gun fire coming the minute that ramp went down. Thousands of them were killed. But we threw so many people at Normandy Beach that we actually took it over. If we sent 10 people, maybe Germany would be in control of America today. We had to send 10,000 so that some would get through and take over that beach and then finally stop what the Rockefellers had helped bring to power, Hitler's reign of terror across Europe. He was trying to take over the world. Let me say in closing how close we came to a complete disaster in this world. Hitler was going after the oil fields in the Middle East. He had all of Europe. He had the V-1 rockets without atomic weapons on them, but he was developing atomic weapons. And it'd be bad enough if he threatened England, if you don't stop fighting with me, I'll send one of these over there. Can you imagine if he sent one over there and now England is radioactive for who knows how long? And then if he continued to develop with his scientists a way to get a missile to the United States, he came this close to having an atomic weapon. The world was right on the brink, and we don't want to see that situation again. The way to do that is to invest in our students to know that what is right, what is wrong. You're responsible for your own condition, and you need to be knowledgeable in a wide variety of areas. That way, America will continue to survive, and we will see freedom and liberty alive in this world. Thank you for watching.
Voting is more than just a right, it's a powerful tool for change. Every vote counts and every voice matters. Voting protects your rights and helps to build a better future. And it's a way to hold our leaders accountable. Voting isn't just about the big elections either. Local elections impact our daily lives. It is important to study the candidates and the issues in order to make an informed decision. Don't sit it out. Your vote is your power. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.